Did you know that the pet care industry is a billion-dollar industry and it is continuously growing? But are the people who care for your pet growing as well? I'm Dara Forleo, and on the Business of Pet Care, we are going to talk about what really goes on behind the scenes of those grooming tables, those daycare walls, and those social media filters. Welcome to the Business of Pet Care, where we explore the innovation, science, and strategies shaping the future of animal care. I'm your host, Dara Forleo, and today I am joined by Janet Marlow, and Janet is extraordinary. A recognized composer, animal behavior researcher, and she's the founder of the Pet Acoustics company. Janet is known for pioneering species-specific music, which I am so intrigued by. And this is designed to reduce stress in dogs, cats, and recently learned horses as well. And you guys all know what the horses mean to me. Her work has been featured on Animal Planet, Good Morning America, and CNBC. And we are so excited to have you here. You collaborate with vets, with groomers, with shelters, and all kinds of other things. And people just collaborating to make life easier for these animals. And you know, a lot of the professionals, I think, don't really think or perceive that the animals hear a little differently than we do. I think this is really what we're here to talk about, Janet. What is amazing to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so
I am going to let you go with that because this is incredible.
Thank you so much, Dara. It's a pleasure to be on. Taking that comment about professionals are not really aware of how much, sonic environment is important to their work as well as the environment of the animals that they're working with. And since 1994, where I started, before most of you have been born.
Not me.
Well, it was actually my cat and dog, particularly my cat Osborne, as a professional guitarist, I would practice for performances, and all my pets would come to my side, and I saw profoundly relaxed animals at my side just by whenever I played.
Mm-hmm.
And then my cat Osborne was very seriously injured in the woods, and I took him to the ICU, and I sang to him for 5 days, and he passed. And I continued on with my career, but somehow my spirit just kept on having these burning questions about, well, what was it about the music? What was it about their hearing? Why were they so profoundly relaxed while I was playing and singing, et cetera, et cetera? So I did research for 3 years, still continuing on with my career, and learned that there are universities that do research on hearing. So I kind of gathered some of the data, and as a recording artist, being able to manipulate sound and notes, and a composer, all of that combination culminated in 1997 when I realized, wait a second, you can't just play Mozart or Bob Marley and expect an animal to just transition over, because why? Because they hear more than we do, and sound comes before behavior in an animal. So I want to just show you this kind
Interesting. Say that again. Sound, comes before
sound comes before behavior. Yeah, because they're listening.
Yep.
So I asked
hearing
you,
that?
Yes, speaking of your cat,
Yeah.
speaking of your cat, who hears more, dogs or cats?
Huh. I would guess the cats.
You are correct.
Okay.
And you get the prize.
All right.
So
Yeah, the prize is you're here.
You're so kind. You're so kind. Okay, here's just a very simple chart.
Yep.
So this is human hearing.
Okay, at the bottom.
Muy poco. Yes, we don't hear very much.
Yeah.
This is horse hearing.
Okay.
Horses and humans hear the most closely related levels of all mammals on the planet.
Interesting. I wonder if they
Can-
feel vibrations more. The
Oh,
horses do.
oh, that's a whole show.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, this is canine hearing,
Okay.
and this is feline hearing. Cats hear 3 times more than we do. As a matter of fact, this chart needs to be revised. It needs to practically go off this piece of paper.
Wow.
So there
So
are our
that is how they're sleeping, and they're just like, you can just see their little ears twitching because they're
exact
picking up everything, even when they're so
everything,
snoozed out.
everything. So you can see from that chart that that our hearing is minimal here.
Yeah.
This whole upper space is their world that we don't experience. So because we don't experience it, we think it's not there. That's
Right.
just that's human nature.
Human nature. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But for every aspect of groomers, shelters, veterinarians, and pet parents, that education and that knowledge needs to be um, given to them so that they can take better care and have better welfare for animals in their space. And that's what I've been doing since 1997.
97.
Mhm.
How did you get into this? I mean, besides your, so that really the experience with your cat was what
A tipping point.
pushed. Yep.
It was a tipping point. And I think, and I think I firmly believe this, that in our childhoods, there are themes. And some of them get exercised and evolve and actualize, and some don't. And for me, I grew up in New York. So, we lived in an apartment. And so in those days, finding a stray cat and a puppy on the street was like so easy. And
Mm-hmm.
I was the kid on the block that brought everything home.
Brought him home.
And my mother was like, out, and there were no shelters to be able, there was no process, no system. And I would just put them back on the street and be very, very sad about that. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I had my own home,
Sorry,
I
this
started,
happens.
yes, getting a brushing.
He is something.
Yeah, that's really special. I love your cat already. So, so that's why I think that the theme of not being able to have animals kind of emerged when I did have animals. And then because I'm such an empathetic listener, like for example, when I do performances, live performing is an
Mm-hmm.
incredible experience. You've got air, you've got humanity in front of you, you're on a stage, you're expressing music and sound with emotion, and you're creating this amazing circle with your audience. I mean, it's a beautiful experience, a lot of work, but
Yeah.
beautiful experience. So for me to do that with an animal is kind the same level of empathy, but because I use my ears so much, that I'm evaluating what my pets were hearing while I was living with them and
Okay.
saw the sensitivity. But then the research followed. And then I started composing music for dogs and then for cats. And I would go around to veterinarians and any friend I had, please, please, please listen to this music. And then they would come back to me with incredible feedback because it was not music that had broad spectrums of sound and dynamics. It was, I just thought to myself, what does an animal really want to hear, especially dogs and cats?
Yeah.
Horses, horses, different story. They
Okay.
they need repeating patterns, strong melodies, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 time walk,
Yeah, that makes sense. Their
trot,
movements are
exactly.
different.
Different story. But for a
Hmm.
dog and a cat in a home, outdoors is different because that initiates their wild side. But in the home where they're domesticated, they prefer long, sustained, non-interrupting, because we don't want to startle any of their sympathetic nervous system. So I started composing music for their nervous system, and I've refined it to a science.
And so I have some very nervous cats.
Mhm. Okay.
And what do you think? Not you. You're okay. It's your two brothers that are problem children. I don't know if you saw I had Dr. Geller on who does feline behavior and keeping
Yes.
animals out of cats out of the shelters.
Yes.
And she's like, "Yeah, no, your cats are just they're a little weird." But
Well,
um,
I think
she
that's a great entry into what I do,
yeah.
because right now in your home you think there's silence, but there may be an HVAC, a, a, a hum from the computer, a vibration from the plows going by. There's things going on that we're not experiencing.
Hmm.
Your cat may be experiencing, or
Yep.
probably is, and that is why it's important to provide a sonic environment, which is music, which is a very powerful experience for an animal because they feel it in their bodies and they hear it in their brains. And because it addresses the nervous system, I guarantee you, when I send you the music for your cats, or you can download it from my app,
Hmm.
it will change your cat's behavior because it will give them something other than just listening to the air where frequencies travel that we don't hear because of that
Yep.
minimum hearing ability.
That's
And
amazing. I am excited to get into this. We have to take a break right now. But up next, we are going to move right like we're talking about from that theory to the proof and how these biometrics show up when pets are actually shifting from their stress into the calm, which is exactly what we're going to talk about with my creatures. Welcome back to the business of pet care. We are here with Janet Marlow, and now we are going to talk about something I think so powerful. And this is all about measuring how pets actually respond to the sounds. Um, Stress is probably, do you think, one of the most common issues that's at home? Stress and anxiety that the animals are feeling.
absolutely, because they live in our world. And
Mhm.
so that's an assumed level of behavior is going to be stress because they're dealing with our world all the time. And there's a rhythm and there's ways that they adapt, but again, through sound environments and how they hear and their hearing sensitivity, just addressing that will diminish stress. For example, um, I this is just a technique that I think every pet owner, every groomer, every veterinarian needs to have. So you can download like a free decibel reader.
Okay.
Decibel is determines the volume level of sound. Frequency is
Hmm.
a different part of sound. But if for a groomer, let's say, downloads this
Noises.
and goes around their store and sees where is the greatest issue of volume spike because when you address the when you address an animal's nervous system, the stress starts before they enter the vet, the clinic, the shelter,
Mhm.
etc. And so the ecosystem that I provide, which is going to be based on biometrics. So let me talk about the biometrics because
Yeah, sure.
so I've been doing this a long time. And, the first 10, 12 years were anecdotal evidences. And I have reams and reams of
Okay.
reviews, people from all over the world, from the CDs that I sent out, and then the Bluetooth speakers. So I preloaded the music on Bluetooth speakers, which still exist. And so then once I was able to do biometric studies, and that was very pivotal for my company because that proved the inside of what's going on with an animal. So we determined pulse rate, cortisol levels, HRV, heart rate variability,
Okay. I was going to
and,
ask if you wanted, yeah.
and activity level, those four. And that was done with a biometric collar. So all the studies that I did, we did a feline study, we've done feline studies, canine studies, and equine studies. In the feline and studies, you can see, and I'll share some of those graphics with you to show that in real time, I'm able to see what the cat is going through, what the pulse rate levels. You can tell when they're sleeping, their pulse rate goes down.
Yeah.
The graphs are very obvious. The activity level, when they have spikes after breakfast and, different parts of the day, you can see the inside of what a cat goes through.
Catnip.
Yeah, according to, yeah. So we did these studies and we were able to, this was all while the music was playing. So we did one study in Australia, so remote, but in real time, I was able to
Wow.
see. And then recently I had a request call from Dr. Temple Grandin, uh, one of the world's great proponents of autistic education and also animal behaviors. And she is also the head animal behaviorist for Fear Free, which
Okay. Yep.
is
Yep.
one of the greatest organizations ever. And we are also Fear Free awarded. And she said I should do a study with with dogs, proving that my Pet Acoustics music is more effective for calming than classical music and no music. And we did that study. And yes, all my studies are published and peer reviewed. And that shows on graphs exactly that the music does diminish stress. So I'm 1,500% confident that the music,
That's a big confidence.
yeah, that music,
That's huge.
the music works. And I think I'm the only music product, if one has to put it in that way,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is proven biometrically. So I call it biometric music.
And you've composed these. This
Yes,
has been all of your everything you have composed this music based off of all of your research, everything you have found
because I'm trying to accommodate how the
in
animal
that.
hears and how that's going to affect them on a physiological level. Yeah. And it's very profound and it's a very,
Yeah.
very, I always say it's a very elegant but very simple way into the root of an animal to diminish their stress, their anxiety, their thunderstorm fears, their travel anxiety,
Fireworks.
fireworks, uh, just before an animal goes to the vet, the music should be playing. We just came out with a Pet Acoustics app that I'm also the inventor of the world's first digital pet hearing test that can be done from an iPhone.
Wow.
a smartphone, because I saw that there was this big opening between
Mhm.
veterinarians going and click, click, click behind a dog's ears, and the Bayer brainstem test, which you have to find a veterinarian that has this machine, costs about $350. You bring your cat, there has to be sensors put on, and it determines the brain waves according to different sounds. I get stressed just describing it.
I
So there
couldn't
was,
imagine that the cats are going, yeah, I'm going to sit here for this.
yeah.
Let's do
And
this.
now your cat's gone. And so I came up with a high frequency, mid, and low frequency hearing test that takes about 5 minutes to do. It's non-invasive. You can do it at home, or at a veterinarian can do that in like a senior wellness exam. And it gives a report back. Um, Interestingly, most pet parents realize that their pet has lost hearing after the fact. So they'll,
You don't, yeah, because you don't see the changes because
yeah.
they don't show it as much as we do. And it was funny you should say that because our oldest um Chewini is just turned 14 and I was right behind her and she's looking up the stairs. Nothing. Like, I'm Ellie, I'm right here. And she's like, where is she? Where'd she go? And I was literally not even 3 feet behind her, and she had no idea. But in front, it's there. She can
Right.
hear from the front, but not the back.
Hmm.
And I
Well,
didn't realize that until that moment.
exactly. We're late to realizing. So the hearing test is a way of monitoring your pet's hearing throughout its lifetime. And so by the time we tested 4,000 dogs and cats, about 700 cats and the rest dogs, from the data that we collected from people doing the hearing tests from around the world, and published it in the International Animal Health Journal, to show where's the cutoff point for a dog and a cat where they start to lose their hearing and then go, because it everything that we experience, dogs and cats experience.
Hmm.
Our biologies are similar. Excuse me. So one person did the test and said, "Oh, my dog doesn't hear a thing, completely deaf." I said, "Well, please try the test." And lo and behold, the dog had low frequency hearing. So the pet parent changed his tone of voice so it was lower, because we all talk very high.
Yep, yep,
Modified where might be, some low vibrations around the house. Maybe that's where the dog gravitates because he can hear. But animals are amazing. They compensate with other
yep,
senses.
they do.
But the important thing is for the knowledge of the pet parent to understand, because it's not just behavior, it's actually something going on physiologically. And
Yeah.
hearing is the most overlooked aspect of animal health.
And until now, we didn't have a way to really monitor that, but this is amazing. We're going to take another break here. Coming up, we are going to shift from science to strategy and how Janet brought this innovation to the market and which audiences embraced it first. Now, I do have to say, Janet, please tell us real quick, how can our listeners and viewers reach you?
We have a wonderful website. It's called Pet Acoustics, petacoustics.com. The science is there, the products are there, the education. I have a podcast called We're All Ears, with a lot of information for pet parents and veterinarians. And I recommend petacoustics.com.
Thank you. All right, we will be right back. right, welcome back. Uh, you know, these ideas, everything we think about as entrepreneurs, these ideas only change the industry when the right people adopt them. Janet's journey from research to this incredible momentum that she is using is such an amazing I don't even know. It's just so amazing. Bringing the science-based innovation to the pet care world,
Mhm.
it must have required some major convincing, right? Identifying who would understand this value and how you influence this broader adoption.
Well, I was so passionate about it. I had kind of an innocence, not knowing the pet industry, not even knowing business because I was an artist.
Yep.
And I think that has actually been part of the charm of how I got into it is not at the curiosity and the learning and the understanding and making errors and then moving ahead. But I always had the confidence that I knew I was doing something right for the animals. And my company is pet centric, not entertainment. It's not, the music is not a playlist. It is a scientific medicine in its way. I've actually had veterinarians prescribe my music for the stress of you know to pet parents. And so it's a whole ecosystem to help go from um, animals. Animals really need predictability. That's what
Mhm.
keeps them calm.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you an example. I have a 19-month-old Cavapoo puppy named Cody. He's now I have to show you the picture of him.
Of course. Of
He's,
course.
he's very,
Oh,
very cute.
so
He's
cute.
very, very
Look at
cute.
that face.
Very, very cute. Hard to resist. But
They are.
he's
There's something about a cavapoo.
he's half poodle, so
Hmm.
he's very alive, and then he's very cuddly because he's a Cavapoo. So since I developed the app music, in the morning he's very active, but he does need his rest.
Hmm.
And so I put on the music and he looks to the iPhone and he immediately curls and goes and takes his nap. Since I've been giving him the music, um, since he was, a few weeks old,
Yep.
it's a trigger for behavior. So that predictability means that I know I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I'm connected, and I can release muscle tension and do what it is that I need to do. I believe that calm is health and balance of behavior is longevity.
Hmm.
There's no question about it that stress leads to illness in us and in animals. So to help an animal find that um, has been part of the journey. And my first group
Yeah.
have been
Gonna say which
was pet parents
pet parents. Okay.
because and they could see right away it was an amazing help to them. I've got wonderful stories, and I hear from people all the time. Um, and then I moved into veterinarians. They've been veterinarians kind of all along, but not in a large way, because they were the hardest ones to convince about the music because they're scientists themselves
Yep.
and they want hard, cold facts.
That makes total sense, even
Mhm.
from a grooming perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
They are
Uh,
tough to win over.
yes, they were until recently.
Okay. So
Um,
that's a new one then.
yes. So and then I had a lot of mom and pop kind of stores that adopted selling the products for me.
Okay. So there that was the growth stage there
A
was getting
big, big growth. And then when
into.
e-commerce came along, I've
Yep.
focused on e-commerce, which I've been doing all along. Amazon, Chewy,
Mhm.
and then Petco adopted my products and put it in all their stores nationwide. Um, I'm giving you the timeline of the
Yeah,
growth.
yeah, yeah. No, this is great because I
Yep.
mean, in my head, I see how that expansion happens, and
Hmm.
just okay. And I don't know, and you don't have to say if this is too much, but I'm gonna like, how do you get into a store of that size, a company of that size?
Hmm.
What makes them go, yeah, we want that?
Yeah. Well, there are people in between A and Z,
Hmm.
and you have to find those people to make that happen. Yeah, when you get into, one-on-one e-commerce, that's all great, even though Amazon requires a lot of communication and all kinds of things that go in between having somebody go onto your site and buying a product.
Right.
And that has to be maintained and monitored and managed. A lot of management, a lot of
Yeah.
management.
Okay.
Um,
Finding the right people. That's the
Finding the
key.
right people, right.
Did you have someone helping you navigate all this, or were you just kind of like, I think I'm going to reach out to Petco?
Well, I did a lot of trade shows
Hmm.
and I met a lot of people. The
Okay.
trade shows were also a big vehicle for escalating.
Yeah, I understand that.
Hmm.
Owning a school, online grooming school,
Hmm.
trying to get in front of your audience
Hmm.
is really hard.
Yeah, you have to be active,
Yep.
and you have to have, even if you don't feel like you have confidence, if you have to always carry your core principles. And there have been a lot of things where I've said, no, I'm not going to go and dilute the value of my company for money. And I've really held what I've created, especially since I'm kind of the only one who's done this in a scientific way.
Right.
Depending on other science studies, I'm doing my own. Um, that I've always kept the core principle of, hey, I'm doing this for the animals. I know that there's a dog in Switzerland who's just come out of post-surgery, is listening to my music and is going to have a better, faster healing experience.
Hmm.
This is how I think. It's a
Yeah.
core value. Um, for the last 3 years, I've been focusing on the veterinary world because
Okay.
it's time. Um, I know what goes on, and my veterinary clinic has my music everywhere. Lobby, exam room, euthanasia room, the cattery.
Mm.
During surgery, they play my music because on an unconscious level, the cat will actually be more relaxed. And it's also very good for the veterinarians and their staff. It calms everything down. And I have lots of music. I have all kinds of uh, SD cards that can be exchanged in Bluetooth speakers
Okay.
because humans require variety,
Yeah.
but you can play the same music for an animal for 10 years and the behavior will be the same.
Interesting. That's very interesting because they're not going to pick up on it. I do have a question about before you go much further, but how about resistance? Have you gotten
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the early stages, and I always say this, in the early stages when I go into a group and say, I compose music for animals, people would completely laugh. But the world has changed. And now if I'm at a social gathering and I say, I compose music for animals to diminish stress, before I can finish the word stress, they've got their phone out and they're ordering the product.
Yep.
Because
I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. I'm sold.
yeah.
Let me just ask you something about that because you've probably seen the video of Casper, the Chihuahua, and he is hysterical. I mean, she can't get two syllables out without him taking over for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Is that like I don't know, is that different? That's on a different level. Casper's here picking up something in her that he's like, I'm taking over this You're not doing it right.
Yeah, the are you talking about the
The
Chihuahua?
Chihuahua. Yeah.
Oh yes, the in the car with the screaming.
Yep.
Yes. Um, that's not good. I
Oh, it's
mean,
when it's the I think she is a I can't remember her name. She's an actress. I think she sings on she does a lot of plays.
mm,
And she adopted Casper from
mhm.
a shelter, and when she
Yeah,
starts singing at home, he trumps her. Like,
yeah,
nope,
yeah,
mom, you're done. I'm
yeah,
singing now.
yeah.
He's
Because
hysterical.
yeah, it is. It's very entertaining. And dog
And
dogs have incredible responses to sounds and pitches because their language is tone, volume, and pitch.
yeah,
So it's very easy. And the dog is saying, "Oh, you are." It's like he's saying to her, "I understand you, and I'm now responding to you."
yep.
And
He's
yeah, it's great. I actually did a singing contest for dogs a couple of years ago. We gave out an award and prizes, and we had people send us videos of their dogs singing. And the one that won was in Texas, Nola, and Nola was just like it was like operatic. It was so amazing. So, but
they
that
do the playing on the keyboards. They like getting on the keyboards
yeah,
and
yeah. So
interesting.
music is a power. Music is,
It
but the correct music is a physiological strategy for pet parents and for professionals. Yes.
that is a great lead into our next segment because we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about turning this in for the professionals so that they can use it every day. Janet, real quick, tell us one more time, where can we find you?
Everything you're hearing about is on petacoustics.com, and you will enjoy the science, the products, and the education.
Excellent. Thanks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the business of pet care. Now we are going to look at how science has become a system, something that I think we talked about earlier that professionals, you guys can use this consistently, even in those high pressure environments, because I think that's where it needs to be used the most. Innovation only scales when it is repeatable. And I think Janet has nailed this one with having it being said more times throughout this. Repeatable, repeatable, repeatable. So if they need it repeatable, that's how it also becomes scalable. Um, Works right into that, doesn't it?
It,
What is what was the hardest part of turning this and all the research that you have done into that tool that we can use, especially under pressure? I mean, a lot of kennels and daycares and even grooming, it is so stressful for a lot of animals coming in. And I know my guys hate going to the vet. They like the vet, they just don't like going to the vet.
oh, that's such
They know.
Mhm. That is such a great segue for me to say that we need to have every profession now needs to be a science-informed profession. Groomers, shelters, I mean, even veterinarians, you would think that they would be very knowledgeable about hearing health, but it's not addressed enough
Mhm.
in their education. So the next generation needs to adopt science as part of their profession, because what I'm doing in my end of it is to create a higher standard of care. And I think the whole, I just came from the VMX Veterinary Expo, and the whole industry is focused on the sensory experience of the animal, not just the medication, et cetera, et cetera. So the sensory experience from the time that they enter, well, let's talk about your experience of trying to get your cat to the vet. So only 23% of pet cat owners bring their cat to the vet. Only
Right.
23%.
Yeah. That's
And I
minimal.
I had cats for 15 years, and I had a cat named Oliver, and I used to put him in once I got him into the carrier. I swear to God, all the way in the car, he would say the word horror. I used to say, I used to hear him say horror, horror. Um, and and so my focus this year is on cats and helping the industry, the veterinary industry, getting more cats in the exam for their own for cat health and welfare. And so I recommend the music, which is it's not a playlist, it's not entertainment. I hope I've made that
Yep.
clear. It
Yep. Yep.
has a measurable and repeatable effect.
Hmm.
And it's species specific. So the music for cats should be for your cat, for dogs and horses, etc. And so the vision that people should have is, okay, I'm going to play the music. I'm going to have the carrier open. My cat is going to go into the carrier. You continue because that lowers the cortisol level before the cat
Yep.
gets to the veterinarian. And you know,
And then there's that stressful car ride and
yes, and it minimizes.
going out the door.
Right, but the music is the environment that will physiologically lower cortisol level. And then the veterinarian should have the music playing in the exam room, of which many do. And that will also help the environment. And so then the pet parent, the cat, and the veterinarian are not responding to their own fight or flight behavior, because
Yep.
it's the three in the room.
Are working together.
They're, yes, you either work together or you're all stressed together.
So that's really interesting that you should say that, because I mean that is really training multiple people at once to do this simultaneously for this process to work. So that's really complex.
Not really, because it's because it's
From a systems point of view, but
yeah.
yeah.
And that's the whole point of it, is that
Okay.
it's a non-invasive, subtle, uh, acoustic environment that's great for the cat, which triggers the human and the vet to
Yeah.
calm down. And the music actually has an effect on humans. I mean, I have many wonderful stories. And in the early stages, women, I'm sorry to say this, but women used to say, "Do you have one for husbands?" Um, but it really has an effect on the human body. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Amazing.
because in the music is not what is exciting. It doesn't have a big scope. It's not Beethoven.
Right.
You can't, just because it's classical music doesn't mean that it's calming for for an animal, because it's not designed for animals. So I created a category. It's called pet music.
And it is just for them. And you have created, you have composed it, you have made this into a global grow. I mean, yeah, it's very eye-opening. Very eye-opening to see. And that chart at the very beginning, show us that chart one more time, because that chart at the beginning showing those differences. And I'm going to say, because we're going to have to wrap up here shortly, but yes, that Janet, also you've had a couple, you have a book. I know you just wrote your book. We talked about it a little bit earlier, about the equines and their, so that's a whole other story. Might have to have you come on just to talk about the horses.
Would love to. Love to. I have a series. What dogs here, what cats here,
Cats
what
here,
horses
yeah.
here. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. So, you know what, for everyone out there, I think this should be in every grooming shop, because I know working in grooming shops for the last 30 years, it can be an extremely stressful environment.
Oh,
And the dogs coming in are, some of them it is part of their being, but not all of them.
no.
And just to be able to make that a little bit easier for them, and that
Mm-hmm.
transition into the shop
Mm-hmm.
easier. And a lot of times we do know it is the parents coming in that they are nervous about too.
That's why
But
they should be playing the music
for
we
everyone
in the
involved.
in
Yeah.
yeah.
And is that it, show? That's one of the,
Well, this is one of the speakers.
okay.
And it's preloaded with an SD card. There's all kinds. And then there's one that's larger. This is called the Pet Tunes Pro. This could fill up a whole kennel. Yeah. And then we have the app on
Yep.
which is downloadable. I mean,
And you have a lot of information on your website. So,
yes,
for
yes.
anyone looking for this, you can find Janet one more time at
.com.
petacoustics.com. .com. This has been amazing. Janet, I just want to say thank you so much for showing, for coming on and doing this. I mean, it takes something to be innovative in a world that sometimes does not embrace things easily. You have done a fantastic job, and this is something that everyone needs to really look at and consider for their businesses. And especially I think how to get it into more places, into the shelters. I can just, that just breaks my heart thinking about that. Oh my gosh. But for everyone watching, hey, today's conversation is definitely a reminder that businesses, and that the business of pet care is not just about tools or techniques. It is about understanding the animals that we work on a deeper level, and creating the environments where they feel safe as well. I'm Dara Forleo. Thank you again, Janet, for coming. And this has been the Business of Pet Care, where better care meets smarter business.